Our meeting today is such an important meeting. We're literally talking about Herculean efforts to make transformative difference in people's lives. So I just want to start by sharing my presentation, and it's going to be quick. So hold on to your seats, and we're going to start now. Hold on a second. I've got to get the technology here going. Okay. I've been asked to give a very quick overview of Nefesh, and then we're going to get right into the Ukrainian efforts. A few months ago, we had a dedication of our brand new campus, which is on Israel's National Mall, across from the Supreme Court, the Knesset, the Foreign Ministry, and right next door to where the new residence of the Prime Minister will be built. President Herzog dedicated it, and it's fantastic. The way we look at the Nefesh B'Nefesh campus, it really is a bet oleh, a home for Olim. And today, more than ever, we're feeling it with the Ukrainians. But for every Oleh that comes, they should always know that we're here to welcome them and to use this place as a launch pad to the next level of their Aliyah. This split screen, as part of it, is our beautiful, magnificent lobby, illuminated and full of light, dedicated by Heidi Rothberg from Colorado. We have a little reading nook here. Our offices were designed like a high-tech place so that people can come and see that it's beautiful and inviting, and that it's not sort of a vintage old picture of Aliyah of people who are depressed and have no choice. Today, people have choices. Even those coming from Ukraine are choosing to come to Israel. This is our event space that can hold 400 people. We hope to have weddings for lone soldiers who are combat lone soldiers who put their lives in the line for us so that we can be safe, and we want to be able to give back. This is our magnificent rooftop with a breathtaking view of Jerusalem, and basically is the vision of Theodor Herzl realized, right, of a democratic Jewish state. And that's exactly what you stand on the rooftop, that's what you're looking at, what Israel represents. We have several spaces, and today in all of these spaces, you're going to see Ukrainian families and individuals who are there as they're going through their Aliyah. Very, very short. This is our dashboard of all the different programs that we're doing. We don't have time to go into it, but we're really like JNF. We're a poo-poo platter for everything that's Zionism in Israel. We help in Tel Aviv. We have a co-working space for young professionals to help launch them into their careers and socially connect them to others. These days, we've been using it as a command center for Ukrainian Aliyah as well. ORI is a program of young women who come from all over the world to do national service. They're women that are fueling economic change in Israel by helping the underserved populations. As you already know, we have a lone soldier program, and I will speak about that because we have 471 lone soldiers from Ukraine. We have 167 from Moldova, over 600 from Russia, and 37 from Belarus. So we're talking about communities that are going to be turning to us even more now. We have a medical professional track where we try to help, and we do help physicians and medical professionals come to Israel. Just 2 weeks ago, we had a huge fair in New Jersey, and we're well on the way to placing many doctors and medical professionals throughout the country. So I'm not going to go into this. We don't have time for it. But as you see, we have programs to develop the North, the South. We have a Zionist education initiative, but let me jump right into what we're doing today. But before I do that, I want to say that this image is actually a Nefesh B'Nefesh image, but it kind of feels a little bit like leaving Egypt. It kind of feels like we're crossing the Red Sea. But this year we saw 4,500 Olim that made Aliyah. It was a 30% spike. It was the highest numbers of North American Aliyah since the Six-Day War. So I think that however the cards land, this is the year of Aliyah. And so let me focus on our relief and rescue that we've been helping with the Ukrainians. Again, this is really not our mandate. Our mandate is North American Aliyah, but the last thing we want to be is tone deaf. We wanted to be able to use our leverage, our contacts, and to be able to do more and to reach out together to help this crisis humanitarian situation. So I just want to show you on the left-hand side is a bus. I'm proud to say that our JNF community raised funds to bring out, this is one of the pictures of the people on the bus, literally, that was sponsored by JNF. And on the right side of the screen, this is families that you're seeing being processed for Aliyah at Nefesh B'Nefesh's center. As you may know, that males are not allowed to leave Ukraine over the age of 18. So between 18 and 60, all men have to stay in the Ukraine. So majority of the Aliyah that you're seeing is women and children and grandparents. This picture was really, it really touched me. I wanted to share it with you. And I don't think it's fortuitous that we're speaking on Pesach, on Passover, because Passover is the holiday of freedom. And it's the holiday of renewal, and it's really the holiday of hope. It's the holiday of Hatikva, which is our national anthem. And this is a photo of that somebody took in the airport of a Ukrainian Ole kissing the ground. And before I move forward, I want to give tremendous honor and gratitude and love for Doctors Toby and Mort Mower, who a month ago came to our campus and dedicated the Mower Pavilion and Visitor Center, which is right now the processing center for Ukrainian Aliyah. We have many, many plans of what it's going to be, but for right now, that is where we're at. So let me show you, give you some, let me give you some visuals. There are 3 different organizations that help people make Aliyah. There's the Ministry of Misrad HaKlita, the Ministry of Immigrant Absorption. There's Misrad HaPnim, the Ministry of the Interior. And with Eastern European Aliyah, there's Nativ, which is the process that helps them go through solidifying their Judaism, or proving their Judaism so that they can make Aliyah under the law of return. These 3 bodies never intersect. As you know, bureaucracy in Israel is always clunky and heavy, and these 3 bodies never intersect. Something historic happened. They turned to Nefesh B'Nefesh and they said, we would like you to help us calibrate this process and to house everybody in one place, to take it off site and to do it off site with just something like, you really, when you think about it, it's a government process. There aren't enough government buildings to do it. No, they turned to us. Why? Because in the Mower Pavilion, we have cameras, biometric cameras that the Ministry of Interior installed for Aliyah that we use for North American Olim. And there's all the security and there's all the cameras and all the machinery, and they can just come in, plug in, and get going. And the Olim can come from one station to the next, and in one day they can get through all that they need to do without making these poor people run around from place to place. 2 weeks ago, former Mayor Bloomberg of New York and Moshe Leon, the mayor of New York, the mayor of Jerusalem, visited our offices. And I just want to share this quick video. They met with some of the families that have been, some of the refugee families. So our office has been visited by delegations all the time. Multiple ministers have come. But here, again, these are pictures literally I snapped with my own phone a few days ago. These are bookend pictures. This is what we're seeing. In the gardens, in the Hatikva gardens, we're seeing the elderly in wheelchairs. We're seeing babies. We're seeing hope. And at the same time, we've equipped the space with toys and with crayons and with coloring books. We're trying to learn to say, okay, how can we do it differently? If this was our family, what would we want our kids to have when they came? Israel had to deal with 1 million former Russians that made Aliyah, and there were many mistakes that were made with them, many. And in our own space, we want to say, what can we do to help make things a little bit different? How can we welcome them warmly and nicely? And I just want to give you a sense of who some of these people are. If you look on the left-hand side, this is an army age Ola who's sitting here together with one of the officers here, together with somebody from the IDF.
Sorry about it.
And I noticed that she has this beautiful fashionable purse, and she's a girl, a daughter like any of ours, right? And on the right-hand side, we put out chessboards. And there's chess that's played, there's games that play, there's music that's piped in.
Else? So like, are you busy?
I think someone has to just mute themselves for a minute. And then we try to create a really nice, welcoming energy. Again, a couple weeks ago, we had Minister Nina Tamano-Shata, who is the Ethiopian Minister, Sarata Klita, the Minister of Immigrant Absorption, herself an immigrant that walked through the Sudan at the age of 3 with her family and lost family members. So when you talk about immigrants welcoming immigrants, these are people who understand the pain and hardship of what it means to uproot, to come to safety to Israel and how to do it right. And so there's a tremendous level of trust that the government's asking us to do this. And we're proud of it. We're very proud of it. Just a few, we have 471 lone Ukrainian soldiers that made Aliyah. And what we heard from our lone soldier director is that it's tough for them when their families come. It's their moms, it's their siblings, it's their grandparents. And suddenly they're worried about how they're going to take care of them. At the end of the day, they have to, they started to, spend their own limited and, meager IDF stipend, monthly stipend to help their families. So from the funding that we received and are still receiving through our generous partners at JNF, we are giving them beautiful gift cards. And our lone soldier director is in the middle, and she invited a few moms and their lone soldier children to a restaurant in Haifa. And she heard their stories, and she kept sending me WhatsApps afterwards. She said it was shocking to hear what they went through, shocking. One was from Kharkov, another one was from Odessa. The third one, I think, was from Lvov. And she said, so basically they were given shopping cards so that they can go and shop. This is not babushka aliyah. They need to buy food and supplies to set up their life here. And we want to do it with the most dignity that we can. She sent me this WhatsApp video, I hope the quality is okay, of one of the soldiers who just wanted to express his gratitude.
No sound.
Can't hear.
Yeah, there's no
No
sound.
sound.
Okay, he's just saying he's from Ukraine. He's a Ukrainian lone soldier, and his mother came, and he was just so grateful, received the help from all of you. And I just wanted to get to the end of this video because he was actually quite gleeful. He was just very sweet and very genuinely appreciative and happy. So what have we been doing to help with the Ukrainian crisis? The first few weeks, we set up an Israeli young guy approached us and said he would like to use the Tel Aviv hub to create a Hamal, which is a war room and a command center. And during the day, it was a space for North American Olim, and in the afternoon and the evenings, because these people were also working, it turned into a command center where he actually went to Monday.com and he said to them, listen, it's a mess right now. People are sending in WhatsApps, they're communicating on Telegram. There's different, there's sort of like no organization. We want to centralize it with one technological base where everything could be one, sort of one centralized platform, a dashboard.
It's a conference call about our efforts in Israel for
And
Ukrainian refugees.
anyway, so he was dealing with all the local people in different communities to help fund buses to come out of Ukraine, to help get medication, and to help connect people to what they needed. So we did that for the first few weeks, and then he has since, and so have we, pivoted to what's our joint mandate here. Jewish National Fund and Nefesh B'Nefesh, our mandate is Israel. So at this point, many Olim have already arrived. There have been over 13,000 refugee Olim who have come to Israel. And at this point, it's very, very critical that we try to help them with integration. One of the things that we've done is that we've hired more Russian and Ukrainian speaking staff to help in this venue. Our Lone Soldier program has soldiers from 64 countries from around the world, as does our ORI, Women in Service program, has women from around the world as well. So we have them helping us to man this whole operation. The government turned to us and said, could you help us to process, to host all the different aliyah. At this point, there's 2 processing centers in all of Israel, one up north and one at Nefesh B'Nefesh. So every Oleh that's coming to the greater Jerusalem and central area, I would say from, anywhere that's not the north, but is the center and the south, is coming through Nefesh B'Nefesh. We also have partnered with another organization that is helping specifically Ukrainian Olim with tech skills to place them in tech jobs. And we also used our campus as a collection and a distribution hub. Initially, when they first came, there were requests for blankets, for formula, for hygiene products, for clothing, and people really donated generously and beautifully, really nice things. We were overwhelmed by it. We had to get extra trucks to send it all around the country. And at this point, our efforts are focused on 2 specific things: on the processing, which we see Ukrainians every day at work, and the 471 lone soldier Olim.
Okay, Doreet, our time is very limited. I'm sorry to
Okay.
interrupt, but I do have a couple questions. You've answered
Sure.
basically, most of the questions. If anyone has a specific question, please put it in the chat right now, but we do try to keep it to the 20 minutes as promised. So I guess the one question that hasn't been really answered is what can be expected in terms of the new immigration for the upcoming years? Because I think I've heard a number of 300,000 potential over time coming, and that may be exaggerated, I don't know. Tell us a little bit about that and how Nefesh B'Nefesh really has learned, and you kind of talked a little bit about this from your past experience to make this much easier, and how you're going to help all this from Eastern Europe, even though you're
Right.
more North America.
So what we have heard is that there's supposed to be an expectation of a second wave of Ukrainian aliyah, and as Russia is intensifying the war after Pesach, also Russian Olim. In fact, the Russian aliyah is more hush-hush and more quiet. People are very, very nervous. It's Russia and the surrounding countries, Belarus, Moldova. People are, from what we understand, it's more fragile. The economy there, the inflation has gone up. The economy is very unstable. Anybody that has another citizenship, Putin is confiscating assets and not allowing them to sell. So people want to come. And there were 2 charter aliyah flights of Russian Olim that landed Erev Pesach. The Israeli government is looking to speed up the process and make this go faster. Right now in the Ukraine, they used to have more emissaries to help with aliyah. So let me just give you a time expectation. In the past, the way it worked is Nativ is the organization that helps sort of people have to go through Nativ in order to prove that they are in fact eligible under the law of return, which means that 1 out of all their grandparents or great-grandparents are Jewish. And that takes time. That usually takes about 4 to 7 months to go through that process. Then it goes to the Jewish agency and the consulate. So you're talking about a process that normally would have taken about 8 months, 10 months at the best scenario. Now, the people who are left, and there are very few emissaries that are left in these places, some of them themselves have fled the country. They're not doing they're doing something super, super, super rudimentary. And they're bringing them to Israel, where the entire process is happening in our space. So we're doing everything from A to Z, and that's why Nativ and the Ministry of Absorption and the Ministry of Interior are all coming together. As of today, 13,391 new Olim have arrived in the past 2 months since the Ukraine war. 4,053 of them were distributed to 37 hotels, which means the rest of them had family. Individuals have choices, and we feel that those who are trying to come to Israel, perhaps it's because they have some family. Those who are at least Olim. There are also those who are not qualified as Olim, who, when the war is over, their visa will expire and they will not be allowed to stay. Their health insurance will expire and they won't be able to stay. But right now, Israel has a quota for accepting 20,000 refugees. And after that, they're not going to be taking more. But right now, but there will not be a quota for those who are qualified, obviously, for Aliyah. We believe there's another 7,000 to 10,000 right now who are in the process of trying to make Aliyah from the Ukraine. That is what we have heard. That is, and what we're trying to do also, the government is interested in Nefesh doing this because it's saving them funds of putting people up in hotels for the 12 weeks. So if we can process them faster and they can get up and we can help them get in, get employment and just go to the next level, that is also helping the government. And obviously it's helping the people as well.
So where after the hotel, or is the government planning on having those that are Olim settle?
There are different agencies that are helping them with grants for different places and housing, and they're doing this. I don't think that they've been here 12 weeks yet, so we'll wait to see. But the ones that we know of are already getting settled in. Things are dynamic and changing all the time, and I think that Israel now is really expecting more Ukrainians, but certainly more from Russia and Belarus. I'll tell you one story that someone said to me when I was talking to one of the refugees 2 weeks ago, and he said, I was a dentist. I was a really good dentist in Ukraine. And when we got like 30 minutes to pack our bag because we found out that we could get on a bus. So what do you take when you have 30 minutes? He said, I took my coat because it's freezing, and I took my diploma off the wall because go and prove later that I'm a dentist. How is anyone going to believe me? And I took it because I plan to build a new life here. And then someone else said to me, he said, this is such a nice place. When you're in a nice place, you act nicely. When you're in a place that's not so nice, you kind of get your guard up. Everybody there is very vulnerable. It's very hard. At the same time, if you can welcome them with dignity and with elegance and with grace, the same way we welcome any other Ole, I think that's already a great step in the right direction to change things from the way it was done before.
And I'll tell you, that's a wonderful note to end on. And thank you, Doreet, so much for your insight. It's incredible the work that you guys are doing. And for all of you, JNF USA donors, thank you very much. Continue Chag Sameach. And remember, next week, Tuesday, 1 p.m. for our 4th edition. Take care. Bye now.
Thank you, everybody. Chag Sameach.
Doreet,
Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach, everybody.
Chag
Thank
Sameach.
you.
Doreet,
Yes.
Sameach.
Hi, Marina.
hi. Can I call you on WhatsApp or can you
Sure.
stay? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, I'll
Sure.
call you on WhatsApp.
Hey,
Thank you.
everybody. Nice to see everyone.
Thank you.
Doreet, can I
Doreet.
ask you a quick question about the numbers that you just said, since we're kind of hanging up? You said the quota is for 20,000 refugees. 13,000 have already arrived. 4,000 are in hotels. But then you said 7 to 10 are still trying to make it. Do you expect of the 13,391, is then you go have that difference from the 13 to the 20 to accept more, or is it a whole
No, the
different
20
category?
includes refugees, right? Refugees who do not qualify under the law of return.
Are in the 13,000?
No, that means that when Israel gets to 20,000, and there are about 8,000 that have arrived as well who are refugees who do not qualify under the law of return. So right now, Israel is putting them up in hotels and is giving them health care and is taking care of them. But when the war is over, they won't be able to do it.
And you said
Okay,
that
and
number's
the
about
feeling is that
8,000.
many of those who are coming also because they have family here.
Right.
So there is an interest in there and making sure that they can stay here. Whatever it is, it's fragile. They have families, they have sons, they have children back home. It'll be a question of whether they have a home to come back to. But in the meantime, we see our joint role here is giving them a welcome so that if they want to stay, and we hope that they do, that it's done in a healthy way.